All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We're very excited to have everybody here to talk about what's new in policy and compliance management. I'm also very happy to be joined by some of my favorite coworkers. Darav, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, thanks Teresa. Hello everyone, this is Zarav here. I'm with the product management team, been with ServiceNow for 3 years, and happy to be on this call today.
Awesome. Happy to have you too. And we're also very happy to be joined by Anushri.
Hi everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm Anushri and I'm part of the product management team too. And I've been with this company for over 7 years now. And we're happy to show you what's new in the Vancouver release, which is August 2023 today. Hi.
Awesome. It's awesome. And I'm Teresa Law. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for the risk products here at ServiceNow. And I wanted to, before we get started, just talk through a little bit of housekeeping. If you've been with us before, which I hope you have, you know that you've been placed on mute, but you also know that we want to make this really interactive. So please use the Q&A button to ask questions. I'll be asking them sort of throughout the session to kind of keep it going and make sure that we get your questions answered. If we don't get your question answered, we'll be sure to follow up afterwards. The session will be recorded, and in the chat, I will be putting the link to the playlist where you'll be able to find this later on. The presentation is available on the community, and I will put the link to the community post in the chat also. And then we hope that you register for some more webinars. And so I'll put the registration link in the chat, and we'll also see that at the very end. If you all will stay in at the end, there may be a short survey. If you can take it, that's always welcome. We are always looking for ideas and improvements. We are all here today because new risk and compliance applications have been added to the ServiceNow. Actually shown to you in action. We've got a whole series of webinars that we've been putting on that hopefully you've seen, and if you haven't, you can watch them through the playlist. The first was business continuity. We did third-party risk management. Last week, we did risk management. Just a couple of days ago, we had an amazing demo for compliance case management. This is a brand new application that we just came out with. And today, we're really excited to talk about policy and compliance management. So we're going to go through some enhancements to the Employee Center, some authoring and redlining, which everybody is very excited about. We introduced this a few releases ago and just keep enhancing it. And then, of course, new user experience enhancements. So without further ado, y'all want to see it in action. I'm going to turn it over to Dharal, who's going to then talk us through a couple of the core enhancements that we've added to this release.
Thank you for that, Teresa. So today we're going to talk about the policy enhancements, policy and compliance enhancements specifically, and we have a lot of things I'm excited to talk about. So we've been hearing customers, and that's what is coming in the product this release. Lot of enhancements. The very first thing is user experience. We've heard that the new user experience, there's some configuration. It's not that easy. We want to have more handle over it or more power to it as to how we can configure. So we have a new user experience coming up through a configuration, which is workspace configuration. So that is something we'll walk you through, where you can configure the overview page and many other things. We also heard that, hey, for the published KB articles or the published policies that we have, there's no easy way to go through it from Employee Center for the first line users. And that's where we have now the Employee Center, which is enhanced to showcase the policies and the KB articles that are published. So it's going to be a one-stop shop to look at all your policies, and your employees can access it easily. From the attestation perspective, the grouping of attestation was available in the workspace or in the classic UI that we have. But with the enhancement and adoption to the workspace, or even at the employee portal center, customers had asked that, why cannot I group my attachments and take it together, the attestations, right? So grouping of attestation is done for the first line and second line. We're going to look through that today. There's also policy authoring enhancements, which is a lot of them. The very first thing is the most asked feature about auto refresh, because you don't need to refresh on your page every time now. It's going to automatically refresh with your changes, with the updates that you do on it. And we're going to look at that. Also, there was a query about why do I have to click the save button twice if I do it at the policy level and then at the record level. So we have now merged into one. That's coming up. Relating your existing document to different items is now easy because now you can connect it to a different document which is already there in a policy. And we can do many other things technically which are also for admin related, where the fetching of the object IDs is going to be automated and it's going to make life easy. So super excited for this call today. I hope you're going to love this journey, and we will move on into all these items. So moving on to the next screen, let's look at the enhanced user experience, which is about the configuration of the page. Now, every one of us has seen the new workspace UI that we have in this fashion, but let's see something new. Now we also have cool new icons, which you can go ahead and configure for each of your record pages. We do ship a lot of icons out of the box, but hey, we allow you to go ahead and change it. So if you want to change it, that's easy. It's easily configurable by your admins. What we've also done is we allow now a separator. So if there are certain things which are constant across multiple pages, let's say you have a policy, you have a risk, you have a control, all of those would have the number or the name in it, and you want to keep it consistent on the left-hand side. So now there's a separator where anything that's static, it's on the left-hand side that can be configured. As well, on the right-hand side would be the other fields. Again, this is completely customizable. So you can choose if you want to go ahead and have a couple of fields on the left, or how many do you want, and the right side. If you do not configure any of it, we also by default give you the record type. So whenever you are on a page, you know, oh, it's a policy record. Oh, it's an issue record, and things like that. So it gives a more clarity to the users, because we know all the end users have been using lot of the applications together. And when you have multiple pages open with the breadcrumbs, it becomes to look at, oh, which one was it? It's a bit tedious. So this is going to make it super easy with the icon as well as the identifier with the record type. What we also have is, let's say, a record like policy exception. There was no overview page, but hey, I still want to see an overview. I want to see what are the different states of it. I want to see an overview page with the description, a high level idea. Now that could be configured with a click of a button. So it's going to be that easy this time. We will look at all of this through a demo as well, which will be followed up. Next, what we've done is Record Watcher. As you can see over here, there's an icon of the user. When you hover your mouse over it, you can see which user it is, and it tells you that, oh, there are multiple users currently already on this record. So if a record has been worked on by a team and there are 3 people working on it, when you are working on it, you could see which other users have also kept it open right now and are working on it. So that's the Record Watcher. One template, we mean that you can be synchronous across. So if you go ahead and adopt this new feature, which is the overview button where it's not there, you can be consistent across your workspaces. And if you customize it, or maybe not customize, but configure it, so you can be consistent across it. So that's one template. Let's get into this. And because this is going to be done majorly by admin, I'm going to go ahead and move to my admin screen for my account. And that is what I'm going to pull it up. So here is that screen that we have. How do I land on this page? I will just go to workspace page configuration, which is under GRC administration. And when I go under workspace page configuration, it opens me up a list of configuration. Now, all these configurations are shipped out of the box. So we do pre-ship. You don't have to go ahead and do go ahead and configure each of them, but it's open for your admin if you wish to change certain things. So here's a list of records that we have today. Let's say I go to the first one, which is policy exception. Let me go to edit this. And over here, basically what this workspace configuration allows you is the very first thing, let's choose a table. Which table are you doing the configuration for? In this case, we are doing it for policy exception. Then what is the record type icon? So here is an icon which we have shipped out of the box. But if you don't like this, if you have something else in mind, and if you wish to choose something else, we have a library of icons. There's 1,222 of them. All of these comes out of the box, and you can choose whichever you like. So that's gonna be a big list, but yeah, we've shipped some of them pre-shipped, which makes sense as an out of box, but it's always customizable. Then is the left side fields configurator as to what I want. So in this case, I'm saying, hey, I want the number and the state to be on the separator of the left side. Now, how this is gonna look is what we're gonna look at on the real time. So this is my record that I have opened, the same for the policy exception. And earlier, there was no overview page for it. Because I went ahead and I've said show default overview, it gives me an overview page. And in this, I've said that state field is mapped to state, description is mapped to justification. So if I go to overview, whatever is in my justification will be mapped over there. And the state, it's currently in approved state, but whatever is the float of it, it will be shown. So if I go to the overview, you can see currently it is in the approved state, and these are the further states that are upcoming. So it's in the approved state right now. It has passed through all of it. What you also see is your description over there, which we have put it from justification, but you could choose if you want to change it from something else. On the left side navigator, we had the number and the state which was configured. So here I have number and state configured. So that is on the left-hand side. If I go ahead and remove both of this, let's say, we are still retaining one of them by default. So basically the record type will still retain on the left-hand side because that's always on the left. So you know which record you are on. And the icon is the exclamation icon that we had. Let me quickly reload this. So if you see now, the number and state moved to the right because I moved out, and now the left-hand side only has the record type. And the icon that we have is the exclamation mark, which is selected over here, diamond exclamation outline, and that is what comes up. So you can choose the icon, you can choose the left-right separator, all the fields you can choose what needs to be on the left and right. Even if some other user happen to be on the same record, let's say I am logged in as a system admin, but if Beth logs in on this record and she's on that record, I would see her name on over here as the right-hand side on the top right as an icon. So these are the cool new things that we have with the record page configuration, more from admin side because only your admins would have access to it, workspace page configuration, and it allows you to go ahead and do multiple things. I hope this is going to be useful and you guys are excited to use this. And I'm going to pass it on to Anushri, who's going to take us through the rest of these features. Teresa, if you have any other questions in the meantime.
No, this is great though. I mean, a lot of really good usability enhancements to make it easier for everybody to do their job, honestly. So this is awesome. This is really awesome.
Thanks. Over to you.
Thanks, Arav. Hi, everyone. I'm going to take you over the remaining features that we released this August. One of the feature that everyone's asked for is showing the published KB articles of the policies on Employee Center or a central place where customers can view their published policy in the organization. So what we are covering here is ability to, first of all, view all of your published policy is in one place on Employee Center, where you'll be able to navigate to it, search for all the policies that are published in one page. You can also filter by various criteria, sort it. You can also see the quick links, which is on the side, which will allow you to report an issue, request a policy exception, or report a risk event. And then you can also view all the requests and the policies in one page that I'll show you in a demo quickly. So let me go ahead and go to my page. So this is an employee center where I've logged in as the end user employee. And when I go to risk and compliance and I go to policies, I will be able to see all the published policies that are in my organization. So I can see all the KB articles of the published policy. I can open up and read the KB article or the published policy. If there are any attachments, I'll be able to see that here. And You can also sort them by alphabetically or popularity. You can filter by article and request. I'll show it to you in a bit. But you can also see the quick links here. So you can quickly report an issue or report a risk events from here. And once you go back, I'm going to go to this browse all page. If you go to risk and compliance page, you can see different requests and policies in one single page, and you can filter by either articles, which will show you all the published policies, or you can filter by requests, which will show you all the requests that are available for you from one page. And you can quickly navigate to policies page as well to see all the published policy from here. So it becomes very easy for you to view all the policies that are published in your organization from one single page. All right. I'm going to move on to the next feature, which is attestation grouping. This is something that many of you have asked us to support on workspaces, support on the for the end user on the employee center, and we've done that in this release. So we've provided two different ways for two different personas. One is for the first line users or employees to view the attestation from the employee center risk portal and group them as per different response types. And you can do the same thing from workspace too. So that's done for the second line. So let's look at what first line experience would be like. So when first line users come to the risk portal, they would be able to see a list of attestations. And then once they select the attestation, they can group them by different criteria. And once they group them, they can provide either same answer or they can respond to all the attestation by providing different responses, but they'll be able to see all of them in single UI. So let's look at the demo first, and then we'll go to the second line user experience. So if I go to my homepage here on the employee center, and I have logged in as the employee able tutor already. From here, I can see 9 plus GRC tasks waiting for me. When I click into it, it's going to open up the risk portal for me. On the risk portal, I can see open tasks for me. I can also go to the task page directly from here. When I click into it, I should be able to see a list of attestations waiting for me. Now I can look at all the attestations and decide to group them if they are similar. So let's see if I go ahead and group these 3 attestations here. I would be able to click on the group assessments. When I do that, it gives me 2 options, whether I can respond using the same answers or I can respond using different answers. Let me go ahead and respond using same answers. It is creating one group, and by default, it is grouping by the assessment type, which is the questionnaire. So all of them have the same questionnaire associated with them, which is GRC attestation. So it has created one group. On top of that, I can group by entity or I can group by category. If it can't group, then it shows you the warning message that it cannot be grouped because the categories of one of the assessments is different. And you can view that, but it will go ahead and group the other 2, which have the same category. Same for the control objective. So I'm going to go ahead and choose entity here, and let's go ahead and group it. Once I group it, I will be able to see a link to it. I can also see that in the left navigation where I can see all the group attestations here. So I'm going to go ahead and open this one. And when I open it, I can also see what are those instances, those 2 attestations that I have selected that are grouped here. Now I'm going to go ahead and take assessment. When I take assessment, it only provides me one set of questions rather than 2 different sets or 3 different sets of questions. I can also have a link here where it will show me what are the controls that are being grouped here. So I'm going to go ahead and just answer here, attach an evidence. And once that's done, you can submit it. So once it's submitted, it'll go for review and it will be available for the reviewers to review it on the workspace. That's the first line user experience when it comes to grouping of the attestations. Now let's go to the second line experience. So anyone from let's say a control owner or someone from the compliance team who's working day in, day out from workspaces would want to have an ability to group the attestation that are assigned to them from workspace itself. So they would be able to do a similar, perform a similar action from workspace as well. And we are going to look into it now. So I'm going to log into this instance as a second line user, compliance user, or a control owner. Let's log in as Patty. And let me go to the workspace. So if I go to the compliance workspace, I will be able to see a list of tasks assigned to me. And I can see that there are attestations that are assigned to me. I will go ahead and group these two for now. And when I group it, this time I'm going to group it by different responses for each attestation. Let's go ahead and group by entity. And once it's grouped, I can go ahead and answer it. Same experience is going to give me a list of controls that are grouped under this, instances that are grouped under this attestation. I can take this attestation, but in this case, I will have single UI, which will represent two different set of questions because I've chosen that I want to answer them differently. So the first one is for identify and document physical access of controls. For all physical entry points, I'm going to go ahead and just choose some answer here. And the second one, I am going to say, yes, I have implemented, and this is my evidence. And let's go ahead and submit this. Now, this is very useful where you want to see all your attestations in one single UI rather than clicking into each one of them one by one. If they are similar, if you want to represent just all of them in one single page, this will be useful. You can still answer them differently. But if you answer the attestation using the same response, then you would go with the first option. So I'm going to submit this. Once it's submitted, again, it goes for review. And when it's reviewed, the attestation will move to monitor state. So that is grouping of attestation, which is now available both on the risk portal for first line users or business users, and for the second line users or compliance managers, compliance user, control owners from Workspace.
That's a really awesome enhancement. And I want to make sure people understand, we want them to ask questions, use the Q&A panel for that. We know you probably have some. I did have one question come in. I'm not sure if it's a terminology thing, but can you please elaborate on the difference between the use of control attestations versus control indicators? And for ServiceNow, control indicators are a very specific thing, versus control indicators that can be pushed to control owners.
Absolutely. That's a great question. So control attestation is generally used to attest that your control is designed properly. It is a set of questions that you actually send out to your control owner or someone from the first line users who manages the control, asking them whether control is designed effectively and has it been implemented. It's just an attestation of the control owners themselves. So once they answer it, that's your control attestation. But your control indicators are usually used for continuous monitoring of your controls, where you can set it up based on frequency, you can schedule it, and you can also create control indicators which are more automated. and which will automatically go and fetch the evidence for you. So you don't have to send it always to your control owners. You can set it up on a continuous basis. But there's also an option to send out indicator tasks, which would be sent out manually to those are manual indicator tasks for the control owners. They are intended to check the operation of the control. So they need to perform certain steps, and they need to provide evidence that control is working as designed, as it is working as expected, right? It is operating as expected. So that's the difference between attestation and indicator. An indicator is used for continuous monitoring.
Yeah, that's perfect. We don't have any more questions right now. Thank you for that.
All right. Let's move on to the next enhancement. This is the last enhancements of the release. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on policy authoring throughout a couple of years since we released it. And we heard all of you, and we decided to bring that in. So I'm going to take you over through those enhancements that we did. The first one is the enhancement where in the previous release, you would see the Save Policy Text button on your policy text screen, which was used to save any text that you would add to this policy text area. What we've done in this release is we have gotten rid of that button, and we are using the main Save button to save any policy text here. That way, you're not managing the behavior and saving of the policy in two different ways. You're not saving just the text here using the policy text button and the rest of it using save. We wanted to make it consistent. So we have just provided you now capability to save everything, including all the record details as well as policy text, just by using save button. The next enhancement is around auto refresh. This is something that we've heard a lot of feedback around, where in the previous release, few of the actions where you are connecting to a document on OneDrive, or you're creating a new document on OneDrive, you are updating this policy text area or the field, syncing the text from the Word document from OneDrive, you needed to refresh your page manually. After every action, you would go ahead and refresh the page, which will reflect the change. Now, with this new release, we have taken care of that. We are providing you with the auto refresh. So, for example, if you are creating a new document, which you are linking to OneDrive, or you're connecting with an existing document on OneDrive, when that connection is established, the screen will auto refresh, or the page will auto refresh, and it will establish that connection. The second auto refresh that will happen is if you're importing the Word document, which is a local copy of Word document, into your policy text area, there is an import text button here, which appears if you're not using OneDrive. When that happens, it will import in the text, and it will refresh the page, and it will reflect the text of the Word document into your policy text area. So that's another area where we've done the auto refresh. The third area where we've done the auto refresh is when you click on the update link on your policy under your policy text, which will go ahead and fetch your policy text from the Word document from OneDrive and update it here on this HTML field. That would require you to refresh your page manually. Now it can be auto refreshed. Once you click on update button, it's going to go ahead and fetch the content, and it's going to auto refresh the page and show you the content in this policy text. And there are a couple other areas where the auto refresh happens. There's a toggle button on this policy text area, which I will show you. When you turn it on and off, there was a manual refresh required. Now it can be auto refreshed using this capability. So there are various areas where we wanted to improve user experience. We've done that using auto refresh. The third enhancements that we've done is in the previous release, when you are connecting to an existing document on OneDrive, you had to download that document from OneDrive and attach a copy of that document here. Only then you were able to connect to that document. In the recent release, what we've done is we have removed the overhead of downloading and attaching the document itself. But all you can do is you provide your folder path and the name of the document, the accurate name of the document, of course. And once that's done, you can automatically, when you connect it, it'll actually go ahead and connect with that document automatically. So you don't need to manage it through the attachment at all. Another enhancement, and which is an important one, which a lot of customers have asked for, is when you've already connected a document to this policy record. If in case you want to change it, in case you want to delete it, there's a new version, you have changed the location of it, there wasn't a way in the previous release to update the link of the document, which has already been connected with the policy. In this release, you can change the document. You can create a new document, or you can connect to an existing, which will go ahead and link to another document on OneDrive and replace this link here. So it becomes very easy for you to manage your documents. If something gets deleted on OneDrive, you don't have to worry. You can still connect it to the new document on OneDrive. And the last enhancement, which is also an important one, is there was a step required, which was more of an admin step, where if you are adding users or coordinating on the OneDrive Word document, you would need to submit their Microsoft OneDrive object IDs manually. So there was a button where you would come in and submit your object ID. The end users will receive an email with instructions. They need to fetch those object IDs and submit it. Only then they will get access to the Word document. But in this release, we've automated that. So we are providing you with a scheduled job, which you can run, which will go ahead and fetch the object IDs of all the users and populate it here and give them access to the appropriate document accordingly. So this step itself becomes automated in this release. So these are some new exciting enhancements on policy authoring, and I'm going to show that quickly in a demo.
So while you're bringing that up, we've got these amazing enhancements for OneDrive, for Word. Are we looking at, using, supporting Google Docs at all in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are planning to support Google Docs. We are planning to support SharePoint and other providers in the future. It's on the roadmap. So apart from OneDrive, you'll be able to manage your attachments, perform your policy authoring using other cloud providers as well.
Yeah, and I want to plug, we do have roadmap sessions that the customers can join. If you're interested in keeping up with what's on the roadmap and when it's coming, we encourage you to join those roadmap sessions.
Absolutely. All right, so let me demo the policy authoring flow now. So I have created this information security policy here. I have added Carrie as owner, approver is Mac, reviewer also is Mac, and I've added contributor as able tutor. I've logged in as Carrie, who is the owner of the policy. And when I go to policy text area here, I would be able to see the enable word editing button here. I already have some text here. So if I want to change anything, let's say I added new text. There is no save button that you can see on this tab, but you can save this text just by clicking the save button on top, and that text gets saved. So you don't have to worry about saving through different ways. You don't have to worry about going to this button, but you can actually make use of the same save button to save the policy text. Now, once this policy text is saved, I am going to go ahead and enable word editing. So let me go ahead and create new document. When I do that, I can also provide the name of this document. Let's say password policy. And let me go ahead and create it. Once that document is created on OneDrive in an appropriate folder that I have provided here, it's going to go ahead and refresh the page that you can see here. That page got refreshed and the connection is established. Now, if I go to policy text area, you can see that the Word document is connected. I can open that Word document here and view that in OneDrive. So that Word document is showing up here, and I can make changes here, and the same changes will be reflected back. So you could notice that now I don't need to manually refresh the page. The page was auto refreshed and the connection was established, and I can open that document easily and view the document. The next enhancement we are going to look at, and I'm going to go through them one by one. We looked at this policy, saving of the policy text. We looked at the auto refresh. The first one where you're connecting with the document, creating a new one. Now we're going to look at the connecting to the existing document on OneDrive. So what I'm going to do here, and now you can see that there is a new button here. If I want to change this document to another document, I can do that here. So instead of now going and creating a brand new policy document, I can actually change my link here directly. So I can come here and click on Connect Existing Document. When I do that, I can provide the folder structure. I don't have to provide the attachment, download the attachment and attach it here. I can simply provide the name of the policy. Let me go ahead and provide the name. And once I do that, if that policy is existing on OneDrive, it's going to go ahead and connect to it. Once it's connected, okay, I'm going to close this and try again. Let me go ahead and connect. Maybe I misspelled the name. All right. So it has gone ahead and connected to the policy here, and I would be able to see the new change policy. Let me go ahead and go to the policy text tab. And now you can see that the policy link is changed to a new policy. I'm going to go ahead and open this in Word document. And you can see that I have this policy stored here. If I want to have another policy link here, you can always do that and make changes to it and reflect it back here. So you are now have ability to change the policy links whenever you want to. You don't have to worry about creating a policy from scratch. And while connected to an existing policy, you can simply provide the name of the accurate policy and it will reflect the change here. Now, if I want to update my policy text here, I can click on Update button. Once I do that, what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and fetch the policy text from the Word document, which is associated with it, and provide that text here. So it has gone ahead and refreshed the page for me automatically again and populated the text of the policy here. And so I didn't have to manually refresh the page myself. If I were to switch on and off any of the toggle here on the top, which actually decides whether you want to sync the policy text from the Word document or not, once you do that, it would disable the sync and again auto refresh the page. I had to manually refresh that again in my previous release or previous instance. When I go to policy text, now I see that the sync is toggled off and I can edit the policy manually here if I want to. If I switch it on, it's going to again refresh the policy and show me the connection, make the record or make the page and the field read-only. And now you can go ahead and update the policy. So all of this is the refresh of it is happening now automatically rather than manually. All right.
So quick question here, just to kind of this person, I think you answered the question, but just to make sure we get it answered. Does the KB article get created off the OneDrive doc? So basically you are actually updating the OneDrive doc in the policy text field. They're actually seeing the document that's on OneDrive. Just thinking about it from a formatting or an image perspective, what will the KB article actually look like when the user pulls it open? It should look exactly like you would see it on OneDrive, though, correct?
Right. So we're not creating KB article directly from OneDrive Word document. we are still populating that Word document content into this HTML field, and this HTML field gets converted into KB article. But yes, we are trying to retain the format. We are fetching the format, header, everything from OneDrive accurately, and that gets generated into the KB article. What we are doing is we are providing you capability to attach the Word document as a PDF on a KB article in case if there is any issue with the formatting, if you want to render the policy as is, and you just want to provide that as a downloadable option for customers, you can actually attach it as a PDF, and that will work. That will retain the format and customers can download it. But the KB article will always be generated from the HTML field here.
And because we're using Office 365, are we also supporting documents on SharePoint, or is it just OneDrive?
Currently, it's OneDrive. SharePoint is on our roadmap. So we will be supporting SharePoint in our upcoming roadmap, maybe next year, end of next year, or early 2025.
Perfect. Again, those roadmap sessions, very important.
Yeah. All right. So we were looking at auto refresh. We looked at connecting to existing document. We also looked at changing document link to another document if you want to. And the last thing is fetching OneDrive Microsoft object IDs. Now, if you notice, I didn't have to submit any of my object IDs on this policy. The users of the policy, where the Carrie, who's the policy owner, has an edit access right now because policy is in draft state. Able Tutor, who's the contributor, also has an edit access since the policy is in draft state. And Mac will have edit access only in the review state or review state, basically, because Mac is reviewer as well as approver. Currently, Mac has only view access. This is possible because there is a schedule job which you can run in the background, which is called Sync Collaborators. And once that is run, it will go ahead and automatically fetch the Microsoft OneDrive object IDs for these users that you've mentioned on the policy text here, policy fields here for the owner, approver, and reviewers. And then it'll automatically submit their object IDs and give them appropriate access to your policy document. So this manual step is completely removed. Yeah, it's automated, and you don't have to worry about fetching the Microsoft object IDs. So those are some of the enhancements that we've done in our August release. If you have any questions, please let me know. We're happy to answer them.
We actually do have a couple questions. So I want to alleviate any concerns that we've lost the single source of truth for the ServiceNow platform. The first question is, can you explain the difference between policies being stored on in a ServiceNow table and the accompanying integrity and record of changes by the users, and the use of OneDrive storing policies? So the way we used to do it, and now use of OneDrive, there's a concern that maybe we're creating duplicate copies someplace. So we want to make sure that we alleviate that concern with a single source of truth.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the main reason why we are supporting OneDrive, or maybe in future SharePoint or Google Drive, is for the policy authoring or policy redlining capability. So currently the platform does not support the HTML field that we saw on the policy text, does not support support or provide the ability to comment, add, make changes and reflect that on the policy here. I can do that today. So if I open this Word document, if I add any comments here, it'll reflect back on my policy, and you can see who is making those changes as well. So that becomes very easy for you to manage it that way. That is the benefit of this. Let me go ahead and show that as well. And that way it provides you that ability to do the redlining of the policy using this feature, right? Which also provides you the collaborative access. So you can have multiple reviewers reviewing, providing their comments, and those comments will be reflected in one place on OneDrive. on Word document, and you would be able to see those comments also here. That was the main reason why we integrated with the cloud providers. The other reason is there are customers who really want to have their policies in a more secure place, which could be accessed only by certain users. Through this access control that we are doing, we only provide edit and read access to the users that we specify on the policy record. So it becomes very secure for you to share the sensitive policies or the policy which you don't want to share it with anyone before it's published, only with certain users. And you could still continue using that as your truth of source, where you're managing and storing all the policies on cloud and publishing them only when you have to publish it to the larger set of users, right? What we had before, which was through attachments, was of course on the platform. You can have attachment. It would definitely consume the platform database and capacity when it comes to managing attachments. And those attachments, whoever has access to the record would be able to see those attachment download, and I think that was available for everyone who has access to it, right? Even though, let's say you have, based on the ACLs, you do have access to read the policy or edit the policy, you would be able to see those attachments and download and make edits, etc. But with the cloud providers, it becomes more secure if you want to manage your roles and access that way. And if customers who worry about consuming your capacity or consuming your database capacity on the ServiceNow platform, you don't want to manage all those large attachments on the platform, you still want to manage it on the cloud, it becomes, I think, easy for you to do it there. And your cloud becomes your source of truth. So that's what this is for. It is giving you more flexibility. If you don't want to use the authoring capability, you still have choice to continue using the older way of policy authoring, policy review, and editing. I hope I answered that.
Redlining. Yeah, the redlining also, that's also really helpful. I have another question, and then two questions actually, but the second question is actually something we'll end with. So let me ask this first question first. Does the control objective or risk have to be linked if you upload a policy? We're not requiring anybody to make sure that you link anything up or do anything before you upload a policy. Uploading policies should be the first things that you do as part of building your governance framework. We don't really require people to link the control objectives or do the risks to upload policies, right?
Correct.
So you that.
That is right. That is right. So you can create your policy and manage the end-to-end life cycle, and probably you can upload the control objective or add the control objective or risk statements after you create a policy. That's absolutely okay. Just that when the policy is published, you won't be able to have an access to add any more control objectives or risk statements. It has to be done before the policy is published. But you can manage a policy lifecycle. You can perform your the redlining and all of that without actually associating the control objectives. A lot of customers, for some policies, don't even have control objectives and risk statements associated with them. You can simply use it as the policy record and perform your policy authoring and manage it that way. That's totally fine.
Awesome. So the last question, unless someone else wants to put a question in the Q&A panel, do you happen to have a multi-page policy that you can show? There's still a concern a little bit about formatting. This person's got many times 10-page policies, and they're really interested to make sure that they don't have the burden of having to fix formatting.
Absolutely. So we do definitely support multi-page policies, and we try to format it well as per the Word document that is available on OneDrive, and populate it here and show that in the KB article. But if you're facing any issues, please reach out to us. We are continuously improving it and making sure that our formatting is improved in each release. Any complaints we see from customers, we fix it. And there are some more enhancements that our platform teams are doing, especially on the HTML editor itself. So that will be useful in future. So that's definitely something that we are looking at, we are tracking, and will be available in future. But as of now, it does support multiple page policies, and I think the formatting works pretty well. If any issue with the formatting, please reach out to us.
And I don't have it handy, but I will put in our community. We do have an idea portal. If you do have new ideas, we would love to hear those. But any issues that you might be having, reach out to your SE, your sales rep, and they can connect you up with the appropriate people and the support folks. I don't see any more questions here, so I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. What an amazing demo. Appreciate that very, very much, Anushree and Dharav. Please join us for future community webinars. You can scan this QR code to get to the registration page. I put in the chat the link to the recording. So, please tell your friends, your coworkers. There's a lot of other recordings on that playlist, not only what's new recordings, but videos, but also webinars from a technical nature, webinars from our partners. We try to make it as rich as possible. We really do appreciate you guys coming and joining us today. I appreciate Anushree and Dharav and all the great information they imparted to us. And we want to thank you very, very much. And have a wonderful day.
I got a good feeling. Yeah. I got a good feeling. I got